Welcome to part 2 of our Miro and Klee inspired shape artwork. Today we're going to focus on adding patterns to the shapes that we created last time. So you're going to need your artwork from last time. We're going to need a pencil. If your eraser looks like that, you might need another one. And we might need a ruler. We're going to be adding patterns to each of the shapes that we've created. And where we've overlapped shapes, we can add a separate pattern in the overlapping space. A pattern is an element like a line or a shape or a color that repeats. I'm going to start with a simple pattern. We're just going to put stripes in one of the shapes. And I'm going to use my ruler to do that. When I use my ruler, I like to make sure I'm holding it as wide as I can so that neither end slides away from me while I'm trying to trace the edge. Lots of things have patterns. Clothing, animals. If you look closely, you can find patterns in a lot of things that we see around us every day. Try to keep your artwork balanced. Every time you add a pattern somewhere, try to think of another place where you can repeat the same pattern to balance it out. There are 3 ways to make patterns. The ruler, to draw straight lines. You can also trace objects, trace some squares, and you can also freehand draw your patterns. We're going to continue adding patterns into all the spaces. All the shapes have patterns in them. You can see each pattern has a counterpart that balances it out. Stripes, stripes, squares, squares, squiggly lines, squiggly lines. I don't know what you would call this. The shapes get smaller and smaller and smaller, smaller and smaller and smaller. And that brings us to these 2 shapes. I wanted to do something a little different with these 2 shapes. First, the shape on the left. You can see that I've added some ovals in it, and they're organized in a way that hints that it's a face. These are the 2 eyes, and here's the mouth. Artists like Miro used shapes to represent characters and objects, and I thought this would be a fun way of referencing that inspiration by turning one of the shapes into a character. With this shape, I wanted to show you something different. You can put a pattern inside another pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and add little circles inside some of the stripes. So I'm adding a pattern inside the stripe pattern that's already there. And that's one way that you can make one pattern more interesting. So this is the end of part 2. We've added patterns to all of our shapes, and we've tried to repeat patterns in multiple places to make sure that the shapes are balanced. You could also add a pattern to your background. Make sure you come back for part 3, where we talk about choosing colors. I'll see you next time. Bye.